Hi, I'm Shirna Lipana, and I want to welcome you all to the Village Core Age Tech podcast, where we bring together experts, thought leaders, and change makers to discuss topics that matter the most, whether it's community building, finance, legal matters, real estate, or personal well-being. Today, we are going to dive deep into a subject that affects all of us, and that's vitality, longevity, and how to keep feeling strong and energized well into our later years in our lives. My guest today is David Siegel, the founder of the Infinite Game of Life. His mission is to help people over 40, like me, and older to build strength, energy, and resilience for the long run. Through coaching, nutrition, and exercise, and science-backed supplementation, David is helping his clients not just add years to their life, but life to their years, which is more important. Now, we are going to unpack his philosophy, his programs, and how you can take control of your health today. David, welcome to our podcast.
Great to see you, Sharon.
Awesome, awesome. So, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you, your background,
Sure.
and we'll get into some of the questions that we have collected from our community.
I'm 112 years old.
Love it. What's your secret, David?
Just corn dogs. That's it. Only nothing but it's a corn dog diet.
Awesome.
I'm not sure corn dogs were even invented when I was born. I don't know. So I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I've done a lot of coaching, and I actually coach executives and even some individuals with decision making with through decision science. But a year ago, and I've always been an athlete, I've been a serious athlete my whole life. A year ago, I read a book that changed everything for me. So I'm a runner. I'm I've been fit my whole life. Maybe once I think I was 5 pounds overweight, but that was disgusting. So I lost it. So I mean, I'm just, I'm one of these skinny guys running around the park all the time after work. And I read this book, which you may have heard of, Outlived by Peter Attia. It's on the New York Times bestseller list. And it changed everything because it turns out you need to do a whole lot more than what you think you need to do. And the three main things you need to do are sex, heroin, and cigarettes. No,
Oh,
no,
those
that
things that
no,
you need to do?
that's Keith Richards. Sorry, that's a different book. And
Okay.
Keith does it, but Mick Jagger, you know
Uh-huh.
about Mick Jagger?
Yes.
He's the son of a gym teacher, and he has been exercising more than an hour a day his entire life.
No
Every
wonder
day.
he can just take over the stage, especially
He
today.
runs every day.
Oh
He
my
does
gosh.
Pilates, he does ballet, he's he's working every single day, and he's now in his 80s and he's on stage firing it up, just start me up, just like
Yeah,
he used to. And it's because it's not the way Keith does it, but it's the way we should do it. And it's with
right.
lots of serious exercise. And I wasn't serious enough. So I want, I've got a really important message for people in their 40s and 50s that you're too late. You're,
Oh my God.
the
No, don't tell me
second
that, David.
half of your life starts at age 40.
Okay.
Okay. Why? Because by the age 40, you've done your podiums and your races and your extreme adventures, and all most of your skydiving is done by age 40. Right. And
Yeah.
now it's time to really think about taking care of yourself
Mm-hmm.
for the future. So I don't think of 40s as a new chapter. I think of it as a new book. We're
Uh,
starting a new book and we're looking forward for the next 60 years. It's not even the second half of our life. It's like the second 2/3 of our lives. But
right.
we have to treat ourselves very differently. And the one thing that doesn't work, besides Keith Richards' approach,
Mm-hmm.
is being a runner or a yoga teacher or a tennis or golf person or pickleball. That's being a specialist. And that's
I
not,
see.
and those people don't live longer, or the long walkers. I walk a lot. That doesn't do it. You have to build bone and muscle, pack on some muscle. You've got to get rid of the fat, build muscle in several different areas so you're really not only protected, but you feel better. You're
Right.
you're more you're more resilient and you're not, the runners, I've got friends who run like, 100-mile races,
Hmm.
right? These long distance, they're frail. They are a hip fracture waiting to happen.
Right.
You're not building your hips when you're running because you're cushioning too much.
Exactly.
So these specialists got to stop specializing when you're 40s, unless, okay, now some people who are in their 40s, they are still going for podiums. They're on the senior circuit of whatever, swimming or triathlons, whatever. All right, those people keep, because that's what they really enjoy, and they're sacrificing something for it. That's fine. The rest of us, we should be on a very well balanced regimen of building bone, muscle, and agility and stability. And that's what this book helped me understand.
Awesome. Well, we are about to find out more about that today. So thank you for again bringing your insight and wisdom and all the experience to this. I can't wait to hear more because I am one of those people. So
Are
I
you
know
a
we're
specialist? What's your specialty?
I'm yeah, I used to compete in fitness like physique. So I lift usually.
Bodybuilding.
Yeah, well, no bodybuilding, not big, but yes, physique basically. Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yes. So I need to learn a little bit more about your philosophy
Well,
and
that's pretty good, though, Sharon. That's pretty good. But that means building muscle as well, right? Or were you one of
right.
these people who are starving yourself before the
Oh
tournaments?
no, no. Well, I did that a long time ago, but I'm
Right.
done with it. Yeah,
So building muscle is really critical, and I want to share a couple slides with you,
absolutely.
if that's all right. First, I want to talk though about my dashboard
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I want people to stop listening to Andrew Huberman, to be honest. And
okay.
Brian Johnson, the billionaire biohackers,
Yeah,
stop that nonsense. This is all the fancy third order stuff that doesn't really move the needle. I want people to do, and even in this book, there's a bunch of stuff about rapamycin and metformin and a bunch of exotic drugs that this is
yeah.
all, if you're a mouse, they can make mice live, 3 times longer. They can cure, if you're a mouse and you have cancer, you're in great shape now. We have not been able to do that in humans. None of this applies to humans yet. And I don't think any of it's going to pan out. So you got to
Yeah.
do what I call, the 80-20 rule, the 20% of stuff that gives you the 80% of results, and
Mm-hmm.
stop paying attention to the noise, like the blue light, the red, the hot sauna or the cold plunges and all this. It's great if you're
I was just starting to get used to my cold plunges, so that's a no-no, huh?
no, it's just not. It's the third order down.
Right.
The first, like that's in the noise. That's in the 1% and 2%. Maybe we don't
Yeah.
know. We have
Yeah.
no idea. Your green powders and
Mm-hmm.
your, you know, uh, celebrity juice drink mixes. This is all.
Right.
You're not going to live longer with any of that. And they've got so many treatments at these longevity. So let me differentiate between life extension and longevity.
Right.
Life extension is medicalization of longevity. Life extension is drugs and treatments that make a lot of money for the people who charge a lot for them.
Right.
And life extension is doing what it takes to live a lot longer and be healthier. Your body will make the drugs. Your body will make the molecules you need if you
Mm-hmm.
stimulate it properly, and you don't need to go in for fancy treatments. Now, there's a couple small exceptions to that. For example, hormone replacement therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most women and women I talk to have not started soon enough and are not really on top of hormone replacement therapy.
That's true.
You want to get on that early so that maybe even before symptoms, you're working
Right.
with your doctor to catch it. You don't want to have brain fog for a year and then find out you could have avoided that, right?
Yeah.
We are losing bone and muscle and neurons every year
That's
unless we are working to reverse that. And so hormone replacement therapy is a big one. Okay. All right. Another one is Another one is that we are, most of us, to some degree, insulin resistant. And if I have one dial at the center of my dashboard, it is how to measure insulin resistance. It's even more important than something like cholesterol. This one number is called A1C. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
should know, you should know your A1C number. That number should be under 6 for
Hmm.
sure. 6 means you're pre-diabetic.
Oh, wow.
6 means you're solidly pre-diabetic, and
Oh,
5.7 is too high. 5.6 means, and a lot of people are, just under the bad zone. That's just one notch under the red zone.
you're an orange, right?
I
Basically.
want people to be under 5.5 and
Hmm.
preferably 5.4 in A1C. That is hard. That requires adjustment to diet and exercise and your daily activities. That is the
Oh.
thing that, you could say, for example, that the fat will kill you if you're overweight. It's not. It's the insulin resistance that kills you. On top of insulin resistance is cancer,
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's,
Yes.
degenerative diseases of all kinds. So that is the number one thing and it's not emphasized enough in Peter Attia's book. And I've got another fantastic book on insulin resistance that
Yes.
everyone should read. It's actually technical, but very well written.
Mm-hmm.
This is Benjamin Beekman, big bestseller, fantastic book. And these books should really scare you into realizing that even in your 40s, you got work to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I
all
mean,
of us.
no, I actually feel so different than when I was in my 30s, right? I do feel, and I'm like, what
Yeah.
happened? I could recover from sicknesses like
Yeah.
in 24 hours. Now it takes me a whole week.
Yeah. Well, you got to cut down on the heroin.
Thank you for the advice.
Okay.
I'll take
Yeah.
that today.
Come on. Come on. Let's get serious.
Yeah,
So I want to share a couple of slides. I got 2 slides to share. All right.
of course. I'd love to see it.
All right. So the first one is this is my dashboard here.
Awesome.
And I assume you can see this all right.
Yes, we
All right.
can.
So
And if we can enlarge it, I think that would probably be easier.
probably can a bit.
Okay.
Is that better?
Much better. Yes.
I'm not going to go full screen on you, but
That's
this is
fine.
a
This
bit.
is pretty
There we
readable.
go.
Thank you.
This is the basic idea. So look, A1C is easy to measure. You get it in almost anybody could just dig out an old blood test and find it.
Hmm.
All right. And I want this number under 5.5, and you can do it. Now,
Yep.
there's something that goes along with insulin resistance, and that is visceral fat. You've heard of visceral fat?
I've heard of fat, not visceral fat.
Okay, so there's adipose fat that you can grab. It's under your skin. You can grab it,
Right.
and that's adipose fat, and that depends whether it's in the belly area or in the hips.
Okay.
In the belly area, it's more of a sign of insulin resistance,
Hmm.
and underneath in the organs, that's visceral fat. You can't
Oh,
see it, you can't feel it, but sometimes it makes kind of a hard belly. Some men have kind of a hard belly that
right.
they have, and those people will have 5 to 10 pounds of visceral fat. That'll kill you. That is a ticking time bomb.
Oh, wow.
That's just ready to kill you. So you want to reverse visceral fat. Now, here's how I approach it with people. You can get a test. It's called a DEXA scan for visceral fat, and it's going to cost $1,000 or whatever. Or you can just assume that you just took the test and failed, and you
Uh,
need to work to reduce it, which is the same as just getting this number down.
hmm.
So that's what I prefer to do. I actually don't believe in a whole lot of testing. Too many people also get a test for osteoporosis, a DEXA scan, for their
Yes.
bone density, and then they say, "Oh, your bone density is a little low. You have osteopenia." Have you heard that?
No.
Osteopenia is a typical diagnosis they give people after they've had a bone scan, and they kind of are leading people down the path toward osteoporosis when they start prescribing expensive drugs that don't work.
Got
So
it.
let's not do that. Instead, let's just assume we just failed most of these exams. What are you going to do different? Okay. Well, in the case of visceral fat, you're going to have to really get your insulin resistance down through diet,
Mhm.
exercise, and lifestyle. And then in the case of bone, you're going to have to work hard to strengthen your bone, to build bone. All right. We're going to do that starting with this supplement right here. This is called Algae Cal Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Are you taking Algae Cal Plus?
I am not.
Okay,
No.
you will tomorrow.
Okay.
It's available on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
I don't get any money from this company. This is the right stuff. This is 4 pills a day, and they also have a collagen called
Uh,
Collagen Complete. It's great for hair, nails,
that
bones.
I've heard of. Yes.
Well, this one is called Collagen Complete, and it's from
Right.
this
Right. Right.
company,
Yes.
AlgaeCal.
Uh-huh.
So I have all my clients on those products,
Okay.
and we're going to work hard in the gym to shock our bones to give them the signal to build.
Right.
So not only are we lifting heavy, but we're also working on shock type movements. Because, for example, runners, their hips, their spines are cushioned by the knees. They don't have nearly as much shock as they think. You know, hikers have more. People, if you got a backpack on, you have
Yeah.
more, right? If you're loaded, you have a lot more compression of the spine. A lot more of the spine will respond to that and start building, right? So we're going to work on specific exercises to load and shock the spine and the hips to build them
Mm-hmm.
up. And I happen to be an expert on this because I had this in my right hip for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
This piece of
Okay.
titanium. The other one is still in my left hip. I've
Mm.
broken both hips in my early 50s.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
yeah, because I didn't have enough mineralization. And so I am very serious about getting everybody to build bone. And you're not going to do that through yoga.
Interesting.
You're
Okay.
gonna you're gonna do it through serious, heavy weights and
Mm-hmm.
through shocks. That you don't want to go overboard and get injured, right? So that's how I help my clients go as close as they can safely so that they're building as much as possible, but not too far so they don't get injured.
Right.
Next, body fat. Men should have lean body mass. There's no reason to have fat. If you are, and a lot of people have lost and gained and lost and gained, and they've got, right? And that the diet
Mm-hmm.
industry loves that. Most diets,
Absolutely.
most diets work within 6 months. People lose weight, and then most diets fail within a year. The weight comes back, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
endocrine system. I mean, you're naturally skinny, so I assume you haven't been through that cycle, but many people, yeah, I've been 30 pounds overweight. Well, did you ever lose 20 pounds? Oh, yeah, I lose 20 pounds all the time, right? But it comes right back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to find a way to get down to lean body mass and get rid of the fat once and for all because you don't get a second chance in life. There's no do-overs.
Right.
Time to get it done and keep it off. And that's for women, we're going to shoot for under 24%. So we first lose the fat because you can't lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. That,
Right.
that's a myth.
Yeah.
Let's not expect miracles. First,
Right.
we lose the fat because gaining muscle is going to make you hungry,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know that. The more you work, right? So first we have to get our body fat down and then we start adding ideally 10 pounds to a woman and 15 or 20 pounds to a man
Yeah.
for over the period of, say, 10 years. And then we're going to maintain. For the rest of our lives, we're going to work harder and harder as we get older to maintain what we've built so that we don't lose it. Okay? All right. So we want to be at the top of our age group in bone density.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do that with drugs. You can only do that through exercise, the right exercise. In muscle mass, again, the top 80%, you
Right.
if you're in the bottom half of, percent of any of these things, you're in trouble. Because the average, what is the average is not very good,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't really, the average lifespan is like 78 years old, all right? But the last 10 years are not very good.
Right.
Am I right? The last
That's
10
true.
years are highly medicalized and not very comfortable. So
Exactly.
that's not great. And those people are not, and that's average, right? So you don't want to be average in the United States.
Right.
maybe there's some country where everybody's ridiculously fit and average is okay, but here you got to be closer to 70, 80% to really, have a good high quality of life into your 80s.
Right. Yes.
Makes sense. And what does that give you? It gives you high quality of life right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
It's
know,
all about quality of life, not the length with zero, not quality.
people ask me, well, so when am I going to figure out if this works? When I'm dead? And I say, no, in about 3 weeks, because you're going to make some changes and you're going to start noticing
Yeah.
and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
feel great.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Especially as soon as we cut down the heroin.
Yep.
Then we have VO2 max, which is kind of difficult to understand, but I've got to emphasize to people that this is really about sprinting
Yep.
and fast, hard, agile work.
Yep.
So on a running track, it could be 100-yard dash. It could also
Mm-hmm.
be a quarter mile, which is one
Yeah.
time around a track outside, or up to 2 miles, which would be two times. So 2 miles might take some people 5 minutes,
Yes.
but I mean, sorry, not half a mile, two
Half
laps,
a mile. I'm like,
half a
yeah,
mile.
like
So
2 minutes.
so
That's pretty fast.
so half a mile should be about 5 minutes for many
Yes,
people.
exactly.
And you want to do it so that you got nothing in the tank when you come across the line.
Yeah.
You want to do it hard.
Yep.
Is that the kind of training you've done before?
Sprinting. Yeah, I used to do a lot of sprinting. Yeah.
Now is the time to get back into it.
Yep.
It's phenomenal. You want to keep your heart muscles soft and
Right.
your arteries soft.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of hard, agile, especially if you add agility to it, obstacle courses or active sports where you stop and go.
Yeah.
These kinds of sports are very, where you're really just hammering and you're at the peak of your capability for 2, 3, 4 minutes. And then, you rest for a little while and then you do it again.
And
This is
how many times do you do that? What's your recommendation on that?
more is better, obviously. I mean, with most people, my answer is like, can you do this once a week, please? Because if you don't, you're in trouble. Like if you're really into it,
Yeah.
then there's the Norwegian protocol, which is 4x4, which you've probably heard of.
Yes.
So that's 4 sets of 4 minutes off, 4 minutes
Yeah.
on, 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off. That's great. You can do it in the pool. You can do you can do a 20-second type 100-yard dashes and then walk a
Yeah.
lap. And then, so all of this is good, right,
Mhm.
Sharon? I don't really care what your mix is. I care that I rather see kind of the total volume of it over a month than specific, like whatever. Like, here's an example. I do 10 flights of stairs in 90 seconds.
Mhm.
Trust me, that is hard.
It is
There
hard.
isn't,
Yeah.
there isn't much left in the tank after 90 seconds. It takes me about half an hour to recover from that 90 seconds. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty
No, I mean,
fast.
people in the building say, "Are you okay?" Right? That's how I look after 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? The
But
first
that's
five
what you need. That's the state you need to get to, right?
the first five floors are easy.
Yes.
But if you're going to make it under 90 seconds, in fact, I think I did it in 80 seconds once. You're just flat out. Your heart is just at, maximum everything, right? You can't go one more flight,
Right.
right?
Yes.
That's the kind of effort. And I don't really care, if you do it 7 or 8 times a week, doesn't matter. It matters that you're just doing it, getting it into your schedule and get doing it. Again, I don't care if you're in the top 10% of
Mhm.
athletes in your age category. That's actually kind of marginal returns. If you're in the 70 to 80 percentile
That's
of
good.
the whole population, you're doing great.
Yes, I agree.
I just want people doing things. I don't want excuses.
Right.
If you're a super athlete, well, okay, then you don't need me, right? Except that I really want people to build muscle mass and plyo. So plyo, I'm going to come to that in a second. Let me come back. So VO2 max
Mhm.
is just flat out as hard as you can do so you can't even breathe. All right?
Mhm.
Then we have APOB, which is a measure of cardiovascular health. It's
Mhm.
a better measure than LDL cholesterol. And this
It
is
is.
a number this is a number we want well under 100. Well under 100. I got too many people are in 80 or 90 and they think they're doing okay. They're not.
Yes.
This could involve working with your doctor to take statins, although statins only going to do so much of it. Actually, getting your insulin resistance down will help a lot.
Hmm.
And there are a few other things you can do. This is a number that I want on the dashboard. And basically, if it's 80 or 90, it's a yellow flag. And if it's above that, it's a red flag. But it means that we have work to do, and we're going to
Yeah.
focus on that. Then, and I bet you know this, you got to have enough protein.
Yes.
Oh my God, you have to have enough protein.
Yeah.
I work so hard to get protein.
I
Because
know.
I've been vegan for 45 years,
Oh my gosh.
and I had to stop. I mean, I do whey protein shakes. I don't eat eggs and meat, but most people do, and that helps. Most of my clients get protein a lot more easily than I do. I'm eating tofu and drinking protein shakes most of the day. But you got to work
Well,
on
that
it.
will give you enough protein that you need anyways, right? Like however you can get it.
You gotta, you're not in most cases, if your goal is 1 gram per pound,
Mhm.
you're not going to do it. For me,
No.
that's 150 grams a day. Can I do
Oh,
that? No, but I sure try, and that's what counts. I'm probably close. Probably most days I'm probably at 130, maybe
well,
something
that's
like
pretty
that.
good. That's a pretty good number. I mean, I
As long
don't
as
drink
you're
a lot of that.
trying,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And you also want to unless your number's all the way down here, you carbs are not your friend.
that's right.
I was a big carb eater my whole life. My number's only 5.6, so I kind of got lucky genetically. But now I pay attention and I eat much lower on the glycemic index,
Yes.
much more whole grains, and no more waffles and brownies for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I
Yep.
had 60 years of that, so it's all right. But so protein is a project, and you've got to make sure to build it into your day.
Yes.
And then we have to take alcohol down, ideally to zero,
Hmm.
but it depends on everything else. All your other numbers, but most people, I really would like to have under 3 drinks a month.
Okay. Well, that's
It's not the most fun. I mean, you can do it the Keith Richards way if you want. It seems to work for him, but I wouldn't bet. You only get to bet once. So how are you gonna? How do you want to
right.
roll the dice? You know,
You need to bet it the right way. Yes, that's for sure.
you don't get to try later. And then now I want to talk about exercise. I want to come back to doctors. All right.
Hmm.
Are we almost out? How much more time do we have?
We got a couple minutes. So yeah.
All right. So I divide exercise into 5 areas, and
Hmm.
that's slow and fast, with body weight, with weights, and then aerobic.
Okay.
And so we've got to cover all these only because that's what works. The
Does HIIT
people,
fall into this HIIT, high intensity?
yeah, high and it's great.
Okay.
It's sure. It's in a lot of these areas. It's with weights and it's
Okay.
fast, right?
Yes.
It's great. I love it. And more. You've got to do more variety. You should not be a distance specialist, although I have no pro, but what you shouldn't do is just say, well, I play pickleball and golf and I go on a bike ride once a week. That's not it. You've
Right.
got to do some weight bearing is the most important part. And then you've got to do fast stuff. This is for heart
Right.
health. This
Like
really works.
as we age, we keep losing our muscle mass, right? So we need to build that back up, and it's just doing it once a week is not going to really do anything for us.
No, it's really, look, the way I say it, it's half an hour a day plus 3 or 4 times out on the trail, on the
Yeah.
bike, in the swimming pool, rowing, 3 or 4 aerobic
Yeah.
activities a week, plus half an hour every day at least.
Okay.
And that's also things like stretching, which we should do twice a day.
I know. Well, that always sacrifices, right? Like stretching is like you never have time for it, but that's not even
But
a
you
good.
do. You can't make any excuses. Half an hour a day is nothing. You can absolutely
Exactly.
do it.
Yes.
And look at
Yes.
the cost benefit. You know,
Uh-huh.
the benefits are huge.
I know. And the
Every
cost not is very expensive because then you end up at different doctors and physical therapy
Oh
and
my
chiropractic
God,
and everything to get that fixed because you just did not stretch.
you're gonna need a Tesla wheelchair. Come on. How expensive do you want to make this?
I know, I know. David, I know you have written many books. What is your favorite book that you've written? Out of all the books you've written, what's your
Oh,
favorite
my favorite book is a
books?
book called Pull. It's around here somewhere. I don't know, but it was about data and it was about a world that I wanted that didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
The world I wanted is much more efficient, and instead we got Google. and
Uh,
we got an advertising driven world full of keywords
well,
and
we're not going to publish this on Google, that's for sure.
and and instead of efficiency and what I call the personal data locker, we didn't get that. So
Yeah.
we yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that's another conversation. But privacy and social freedoms are mostly in the hands of about 10 large tech companies, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's personal data that I think we should all own ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. So, trick question. What is your philosophy behind the name, The Infinite Game of Life?
It's a book. It's a book that came out 30, 40 years ago, but I don't remember the name. Simon Sinek kind of made it popular that the infinite game of life is that you're never done, you never win, it's never over. There's
Yeah.
always tomorrow. You're always in it, and you don't beat other people, and you don't go up when they go down. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
goes together, and you do it every day.
Right. Yeah,
And that's my philosophy that what game are you playing? Are you playing the short game or the long game?
that's right.
Right.
So we covered a lot of things here. Obviously, this we can go on more and more because it's your philosophy, your program covers exercise, diet, and supplementation the right way, doing it the right way. If somebody is to start today, what is that one first step that they can take to feel good, to feel that they have accomplished something and they are on their path to something better, to feel better?
Those two things. Your A1C number has to go down, so you got to look up insulin resistance, and then you got to start doing serious exercise, pretty much in all 4 or 5 categories that I just showed. You just can't yoga your way to health.
Yeah.
To longevity. Yoga is great. Walking is great. The people who walk 10,000 steps a day, they do not live longer.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
The people who are serious bodybuilders, the weight people who put on muscle mass, they live longer.
That's true. Well, I'm glad I'm sort of there, but there are a lot of
Good.
other numbers that I have to get corrected first. So I'm on it. I'm taking notes on my end.
We all do.
Well, the work you're doing now is helping a lot of people, right? Not just to extend years again, but truly thrive in their life. So if listeners want to get in touch with you, sign up for coaching, or even just like connect with you and ask questions, how can they reach out to you?
It's everything is at infinitegameoflife.com. My goal is to power up my coaching business. I've got clients around the world and I want to scale that up. So I'm helping thousands of people. And then I want to raise money later this year and build the world's first longevity gym
Oh,
in
wow.
Miami.
Oh
So
my
we'll have
God.
a gym that looks like no other gym you've ever seen. It's a
Okay.
place where older people are kicking butt and
Wow.
having
I
a
love
great
it.
time. And then I'll raise more money and I'll build these gyms in probably 20 or 30 cities around the United States.
Why Miami?
That is my best market at the beginning. I've looked at all the markets and the numbers and just the people who can afford it and are interested in health. They're
Mhm.
concentrated enough that downtown Miami I can draw, you know.
Right.
But then there'll be more. There'll be Colorado,
Absolutely.
California. There's several locations, New York City.
San
Um,
Diego. Like I'm just
San
saying.
Diego is perfect. Palm Springs, right,
I love it. I love it. Well,
right.
awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and passion with us today. And to our listeners, please remember your health is an investment. It's not an expense. Let's not make it an expense. And if today's conversation resonated with you, take that one step to prioritize your health and well-being. And be sure to subscribe to our Village Court podcast for more conversation to empower and inspire. And until next time, please stay strong, stay healthy, and keep playing the infinite game of life. Thank you, Dave.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.